I found out why my boss never let anyone open one specific drawer. It wasn't what any of us expected. I worked as a receptionist at a small family-owned office. The owner had been running the business for over 30 years and was the type of boss everyone respected. He wasn't loud or flashy, but he knew every employee by name and somehow remembered little details about everyone's life. There was just one strange rule. No one touches the bottom drawer of my desk. Not the cleaners, not the office manager, not even his own son, who worked there. Naturally, everyone came up with theories. Some thought it was full of cash. Others joked it held confidential company files, or something embarrassing from decades ago. Whenever someone asked, he'd just smile and say, "One day, you'll know." Years passed, and the mystery became part of office culture. Then one morning, he announced he was retiring. On his last day, we decorated the office, ordered lunch, and shared stories about working with him. Before saying goodbye, he walked over to his desk, pulled out a small key from his pocket, and unlocked the famous drawer. He asked all of us to come closer. Inside were hundreds of handwritten thank you cards. Every single one had been written by former employees, interns, customers, delivery drivers, and even people who had only met him once. Some cards were over 20 years old. One read, asterisk, "Thank you for giving me a job when no one else would." Asterisk. Another said, "You never knew this, but you paid for my groceries after my husband passed away." The cashier told me later. "I'll never forget your kindness." There were dozens more. People he'd quietly helped. Students whose tuition he'd covered. Employees whose rent he'd secretly paid during difficult times. Families he'd supported after medical emergencies. None of us had any idea. He smiled and said he never kept those cards to impress anyone. He kept them because they reminded him that success isn't measured by profits alone. Then he looked around the room and said something I'll never forget. If people only remember how much money you made, you didn't really succeed. If they remember how you treated them, you did. The room fell completely silent. A few coworkers quietly wiped away tears. After he left, his son carefully placed all the cards back into the drawer and locked it again. Not because it contained secrets, but because it held a lifetime of kindness. Ever since that day, I've stopped judging success by titles or salaries. Sometimes the greatest legacy isn't what's in your bank account. It's what's written in someone else's handwriting.